So what I was describing is since some people might not have heard me well, so I will explain a little bit more. Uh, so the initial part I have introduced is the DevOps is nothing but a culture, an organization. To adapt to DevOps, you need lot of various things. That is actually your business operations and your software engineering and quality assurance teams all working together. The business operations may be in your client, so all of them working collaboratively together. I mean, adapting to with a cultural change is required to do rapid deployment and rapid release of your software products into the clients. So that is all DevOps is all about. So I have briefly covered it again because maybe the sound was not clear earlier. So then I explained the continuous integration. Continuous integration is all about you uh, you are checking all of the developers' contributions into a software product or project, taken into a central place and validated using some automated build system and some automated unit test execution to make sure the code is stable uh, at each and every submit of the code components. This should be happened, because then you can early detect the issues, so that you are capable of finding issues earlier and resolving them before reaching the client. So that is the requirement of continuous integration. So that is how it is implemented. So don't misunderstand this with most people understand when you say continuous integration, it's involved deployment to clients as well. No, not at all. It is only considering the part of you are validating your code bases. So that's what all about this continuous integration is all about. Then when we go into the next level, that is called continuous delivery. Now, to actually achieve DevOps, you need some capabilities uh, automated. Now, what is delivery? Delivery is delivery of a software. Now, this continuous delivery is your capability to deliver maybe with one click kind of delivery, so that you have all the things automated, so that your software can reach production even without any human interaction. It can flow. This that kind of automated flow implementation is possible with continuous delivery. But maybe the last, I mean, when it comes to continuous delivery, last step always manually triggered. That last step means the final production release is always manually triggered. So that is actually continuous delivery. So this is a this should be a very straightforward process, and it should be always a repeatable process. So you need to identify how it can be implemented for any given software product or project, and you need to implement full automation to validate testing, and then do the deployment activities, provision the environments. All those sort of things should be implemented with full automation. Then only you can achieve continuous delivery status. Now, once you have the continuous delivery, you can actually achieve DevOps. Actually, DevOps is kind of result of continuous delivery. So let me take you into the DevOps and continuous delivery. What is the difference between that? So DevOps actually centers around the cultural change, because like you need to adapt to certain things. You need to adapt to certain practices, like frequent multi-skilled teams. Like it should not be the attitude change, and everything is required to achieve such a team. Because like if a person thinks inside a team, I am only a developer, so I do only coding, so I don't care about the testing of the software. So that is not a possible culture if you are enabling DevOps for a team. So you need to be very multi-skilled. You should be able to test when it is demanded for the team. If the team requires you to do testing, you need to do testing. If the team demand you to do the development, you need to do development. So that kind of cultural change, the attitude change is required for this. So and each and every team member should believe in automation. So they should most believe in automation of steps as much as possible, even if it is possible to automate a deployment of development environment, that should be possible. Any new team member coming into the team should be able to provision a development environment in a quick set of scripts, maybe something like that. So that kind of cultural change is called DevOps. So I mean, continuous delivery is more into because most people mix these things two things, but continuous delivery is more about getting your software packaged and deployed into the production. So that is all about continuous delivery. Alright, let me check whether my sound quality is okay. Alright, let's continue. Then let me explain a little bit about the another two concepts that is often talked about, that is continuous delivery and what is continuous deployment. Now actually there's a very little step change in this. Continuous deployment, you consider an organization or a software is ready with continuous deployment when it is possible for you to trigger your production deployment automatically. When you say trigger, it doesn't mean that you automatically deploy to production. No, you trigger the automated deployment to production, but there can be an approver who approves it so that it proceeds into the production. So maybe you need to have such approval workflows, but the concept is once you have automation triggering possible for production, it is continuous deployment. Now continuous delivery actually facilitates the continuous deployment. So continuous deployment can be only achieved when you have continuous delivery implemented. So that's the basic idea of the deployment and delivery. So let me go into the next part of this. That is how an organization can adopt DevOps culture. So you might have heard there are several concepts in modern day software development, which is called sometimes agile and sometimes Scrum, XP, that is extreme programming. So there are other processes and methodologies. All these methodologies talk about developing software in a very rapid manner, keeping the higher quality. Without dropping the quality, you have to develop and deliver software very fast. Why this rapid deployment or rapid software products bringing into the clients is required is that without that, the way the modern technology changes and the business changes happens, if we take about 1 year or 6 months to deliver a software product, and if the client will see the software product after 6 months or 1 year, the requirement might be well changed because of the change of the business processes, because of the change of the technology. There will be more changes to the requirement rather than what is required 6 months or 1 year back. So it is a must now that you provide software releases so often, and you should be able to see working software very fast. Within 1 month, 2 months, you should be able to see some portion of working software in the client side, so that client should be able to give feedback looking at the actual working software rather than set of documentation. So that is the principle behind all these agile, Scrum, and those kind of processes. So that is something that is must required to practice if an organization wants to become DevOps enabled organization. And that actually demands very frequent production releases. And with all these things, automation do a big part or big role. So automation and configuration management, that capability should be there in an organization to achieve such uh, ability. So you need to have wide availability of infrastructure. Now infrastructure again, if you are going to have several set of servers for some kind of product, it might be impossible because you can't purchase such hardware because it's expensive. Maybe you have to go for some virtual environments such as Azure or AWS. You can use those platforms to create your virtual environments to do your testing, do your quality checking, do your staged based deployments. So for those things you can use the cloud platforms that is available. So that actually will be more helpful for an organization to adapt into DevOps culture. So again, another thing is you need to have publicly available best practices. So there should be a kind of people that people human resources should be there to guide the teams to achieve these steps. So that is one other mandatory thing in adapting this thing. And the other thing is system thinking. Let me take you to the other slide and explain what is system thinking. System thinking is when you get the business idea, discuss it with the product owner. Product owner is actually the client. So your software delivery team will be, software development team will be developing, and your quality assurance team will be verifying that, and you are using your operation teams and put it into the production. So this overall picture should be in each and every team member's mind, rather than on its own work only focus should not be there. It should be overall overview focus should be there for an organization to achieve a DevOps capability. So that is called system thinking. So that system thinking is a mandatory thing to achieve such thing. The other thing is always you should get the feedback from your clients, and you need to continually learn and experiment and then improve yourself. Every learning should be made as an improvement, and you should keep on learning from the mistakes that you do. That is the culture. Yeah, go ahead. All right. Can you hear me well now? Yeah. Hello. Yes. I thought somebody is asking a question, so I'll continue anyway. So what this then again, when it comes to continuous deployment, we talk some about release pipelines. So this can be implemented with various technologies. There are team services in Microsoft Word, and then you have Bamboo, Chef. There's a lot of other open source platforms to do these things, so you can learn a lot of these stuff, and maybe you can use many other tools that is available and do these steps. That is a possibility. So I will bit explain this again. So you have to have several environment setup if you are enabling DevOps kind of organization for a software product or project, because you need to have lot of automation testing and lot of automated deployments going on. So you need to have some QA environments, some staging environments, and using those testing, you need to make sure your system or your software is production ready, so that it can automatically flow into production. So once built packages should reach all these environments sequentially, and with approvals it should reach production. So that is the mechanism of having a release pipeline or continuous deployment pipeline. So let me check if there is any question. Okay. No. All right. So we will move on. So I'm mostly a Microsoft guy, so I will give you some insights into the tooling capability of Microsoft. And there are a lot of other open source tools. I'm not saying any of it is bad or anything. It depends on what you want to do. So you can use open source something, you can use other vendors things. There's no prohibition of that. But again, Microsoft also offers a lot of DevOps capable set of tools. So let me take you through about 2 minutes of video clip, which gives you a very good insight on what Visual Studio Team Services offers for DevOps. So let me play that.
Every innovation begins with a great idea. And no matter how big or small your team may be, you need a plan, a place to collaborate on code, a way to automate your builds, and a way to deploy your code, to bring that idea to life.
So I'll
Visual Studio Team Services gives your software teams unlimited power to stay connected, all the way from idea to release. Use unlimited Git or TFVC repos to track and manage your code. Create branches from user stories, and use pull requests with branch policies to manage code quality and workflow. So your team can collaborate on code, whether they're separated by oceans or languages. As development progresses, everyone is always on the same page with real-time updates. Pull requests also encourage rich, in-context discussions around your code, so it's easy to share ideas and best practices. Tasks for any platform and any language empower your team to quickly set up, build, test, and release steps. With continuous integration, builds and tests run automatically with real-time results, so teams can resolve issues and maximize productivity. And with reports and charts for manual, automated, and load tests, you can discover bugs before your customers do. The team dashboard makes it easy to see and track everyone's progress. Widgets for user stories, bugs, Git repos, builds, tests, and more. You can pin whatever you like. With your continuous delivery pipeline always ready to go, deploying your app is just one click away. Your team can literally see their code come to life, so your customers can experience the possibilities of your latest innovation. And the team, they can get to work on the next great idea.
Alright, so that is one such tool that is available, which is having all the required components for you to enable DevOps. So, but again, let me reiterate this: having a tool will not anyway bring you to DevOps, because to bring the DevOps into your organization or into a software development team, you need to change the culture of the team, you need to change the practices that you do, you need to think differently with the system thinking, and you need to be very agile team to become a DevOps team. You can't become a DevOps team just because you are using a tool. So even though tools can give lot of facilities, you can't become a team and good DevOps team unless you are changing your culture or you are changing the way of thinking about a software delivery. So this is again the same stuff that is represented in the video. So this is possible with many other open source tools as well. Even you can use some ALM platforms like Jira, and then combine Jenkins builds and Bamboo or something to do the deployments, and Octopus build for deployments. So you have a lot of options available. So you have a lot of tools available for these automations. But the thing is, you need to adapt to a culture that believes in deploying software rapidly to the production. and while keeping the quality is the most important thing, right? So you need to make sure your quality is not compromised, even though you are doing rapid deployments or rapid adoption to the changes. Still you need to make sure you are with a very high quality you are delivering to your client. So this is again explaining a bit of who needs these things. Then once team becomes mature, you can expect some one-click highly automated releases into even to the clients. So again, now I told you about provisioning environments. So there are a lot of concepts such as uh, how you get your environment set up using a scripting. So desired state configuration is one such concept. So you configure your desired state in an environment using a script. So that kind of automation should be possible. Like you should be able to bring up an environment into a certain state using a script. So that kind of automation capability is a must-have skill and must-have capability in your team for you to become a more DevOps enabled team. Okay, all right. So that's basic coverage of what needs to be considered when it comes to DevOps. So I took 30 minutes and explained everything. So I would like to hear if there is any questions so that I can explain more based on the questions. Okay, there's a question about how can a fresh graduate get into DevOps. All right, let me be very frank about this. A fresh graduate becoming a DevOps might be, in my opinion, uh, you can, but it requires you to be have a lot of experience. I mean, you have to go through certain steps. You can start as a build release engineer or configuration management engineer. Then you can work with the teams and get the idea of how the software development happens, because a fresh graduate might not know what is actually happening in the industry when it comes to software delivery. So you might need a lot of experience with working with the actual software development and delivery teams. So in order to get that, you can become a maybe software build engineer or a release engineer. Then you can involve with the team and work with the team to facilitate their automated deployments, automated testing, and you can gain knowledge while doing that. And you can become a I mean, you can help them to do the development, you can help them to do the testing. So you have to be with the team, you have to adapt to the team how they're working. So then only you can get the feel of it. So I mean, if I tell you the truth, after 15 years of development and testing experience with different teams, only I touched the DevOps area. So it's okay for you to start as a DevOps or build release engineer, but you have to be very humble and work with lot of other architects, other team members, other management teams, and everybody to get the feel of what is required to become a DevOps, maybe a teacher or a guru or somebody like that. So that I think covers that. So there's another question. This may be too specific to Microsoft technologies. Is there a way to CI/CD web jobs? Yes, it is possible, and I have done it. But I don't think I have time to explain that right now. But it is a possibility. I have done it with Visual Studio Team Services and TFS, and we are already running that sort of web jobs enabled Azure web application. Actually, it's a product. It is live with lot of customers. It's a possibility. I can guarantee it's a possibility, and you can find my email address or something and send me a request. So I'll guide you through how to do the implementation. It's a bit of a tricky thing. You need to do certain stuff in a different way, but it's possible. It's clearly possible. You can do DevOps for web jobs. That CI/CD is possible. Yes. Do we need a certification to pursue this track? Okay. Um, you can actually get certifications such as, okay, when it comes to Microsoft platforms, yes, you have. There's something called application lifecycle management certifications. You can become a ALM solution architect or somebody by doing certain exams related to Team Foundation Server and Team Services, and that should actually cover your test automation capability, your understanding of Microsoft platform, Team Foundation Server, and all those things. And that actually, when it comes to that getting that certification, it's not a certification that is possible only with studying a book or studying something, because there's a lot of questions involve the practicality of it, because you need to know how you should help. Like Microsoft certifications mostly involve the Visual Studio development and all those stuff, but it talks about a lot of other third-party integration as well, because right now it's a lot of open source capabilities built into Microsoft, and Microsoft is supporting even building a Java application inside team services. So there's a lot of depth into it, so you need to know a lot of stuff, like practical stuff, how to configure these things, how to handle these things to get the certification. So I don't encourage you to only follow a certification. Rather, if you are a new person who is trying to join into these things, the best thing would be you become some sort of development team member or a QA team member and get involved with the teams and learn a lot of stuff using would be the ideal way. But of course, you can try to go ahead and get certifications. Like there are a lot of certification in the Java platforms and all those things as well. But from Microsoft perspective, we have a lot of 3 or 4 exams covering how you do the continuous delivery and how you administer the Team Foundation server, and how you do test automation. So there are 3 exams which brings you to the ALM or DevOps architect level. So that is about the certification possibility. Is there anything else? Ask questions. Yeah, a very good question. Is there any tutorials to be followed, and is there any free tests environment to test different technologies? Of course, yes. uh, because if you want to okay, in Microsoft platforms, yeah, there are a lot of free availability. Anybody having Microsoft account, so you can convert any of your email addresses into Microsoft account. Once you convert that account into a Microsoft account, you can go ahead and create an account called Visual Studio account. So visualstudio.com, there's something called Visual Studio Team Services, where you can actually create your own team services account, which Microsoft give you as free, and you can add up to 5 users for free, and you can use each and every feature that is available for any actual, I mean, customer who has purchased the service. So you can enjoy any of these services for your lifetime, with 5 basic users licenses, and you can do all the things that I have described and all the things that is shown in that video. So you can create your backlogs, create your requirements, you can handle teams, you can do build deployments, continuous delivery, targeting Azure platform. You can use uh, there are hosted services available for building your software. So those, again, you are getting about 120 minutes per month with the free account. So then load testing, you will get 20,000 user minutes. So that is lot of stuff you get as free, so you can actually start testing. So you can again, Azure environment, you have to only get 1 month trial, I think it's possible. But team services, you get lifetime free service. If you create an account, it's free service for 5 users. You don't have to pay a cent to do anything. um, okay, the next question is tutorials to be followed. So there are a lot of, actually, if you go to Microsoft documentation, there's a lot. And we are often writing, being actually community influencers, we are also writing a lot of blog posts, how to set up these things, how to if you go to my blog, that is http chamindac.blogspot.com. So if you go to my blog, you'll find a lot of articles that I write each month about how to getting things and how to solve problems. So there are a lot of people like me supporting. And if you go to Visual Studio developer community support, there's a lot of support there. There's a lot of questions and answers are there. And you can go to TechNet Wiki and find out a lot of wikis about these things. And you can go to MSDN documentation, you can go to a lot of people who are providing blog articles. So if you go to one blog, you'll find a lot of referred articles, so you can go ahead and learn a lot of things. So if you want to how to set up these things, kind of thing, you can always go to my blog. I have a lot of articles written on how to getting things started, how to set up these things, how to start and use these things. So there are a lot of blogs and lot of things available in the internet as resource. And even if you go to YouTube, there you'll find a lot of videos explaining how to set up Team Foundation account or how to do this thing. So or even if you want to learn other platform DevOps, again, YouTube has a lot of videos and all those things. Yeah, you have very much resources availability to do, I mean, to learn these technologies and how to do work with these things. And I can say, like, there's another question saying what are my advices. So my first advice is be very humble and join teams and work with them, learn with them, and keep on helping them to improve their way of work. So that's the way you can become a very good DevOps architect one day. So I have handled a lot of teams, I have worked with a lot of teams. I always been the facilitator of these teams, and I have supported these team members to get through their problems. So that's how I have become whatever I have become today. So it's the only way. You have to be very collaborative with the teams and work with them to get the knowledge. So that's the best advice I can give anybody joining in this thing. And I can tell you there's a very bright future for this area, because right now, without capability of DevOps, any IT or software development organization can't survive more than 5 years from now on. Because because it's a must. Every competitor develops software so rapidly. Now if you take for example Microsoft, they release so many releases of Visual Studio, so many releases of other software. That is possible because they have completely moved on from traditional development into a DevOps enabled development. So that means they actually frequently do a lot of delivery of software products and projects. So that kind of competition is there. So it's a very bright future if you move on to these kind of areas. The other question is VSTS on-prem build agents are too slow compared to hosted agents, even if the on-prem agent is an Azure VM. Is that normal? It depends. Like if you have your on-prem build agents in Sri Lanka, yeah, it will be ultimately slow. You know what is the reason, right? The reason is our internet connectivity speeds, because you need to transfer files from your source controls repository into your build servers to get it built. So those transfers take a lot of time. So that is actually due to internet speeds, mainly in Sri Lanka. So if you are hosting it in Azure, I don't think it will be slow as long as you provide enough resources. I have a lot of build servers in Azure which doesn't have any problem, but I have allocated enough capability, such as like at least 4 cores and maybe around or more than 8 GB of RAM. So around 14 GB of RAM and 4 cores, and maybe required other hardware, so you will get the speed. But if you allocate a kind of very little memory and all those things, that build server will be ultimately slow. The on-premise build services that is hosted in local environments might be slower if it is hosted in Sri Lankan or some kind of these region servers. But if you put some server, I have a other United States and Canadian offices, so I put my build servers in on-premise on those platforms in their data centers. So when that is happened, even on-premise, it is really fast. So might be, if there can be a specific issue from the question, the person who has the question, so he can actually reach me and I can try to identify and help what is the problem. It's not normal. I have to say it's not normal scenario. Normally it should be fast. Alright, I'm waiting if there is any other questions. Okay, there's another question. How is the DevOps different from Agile and SDLC? Okay, let me give you a brief idea about that. Uh, SDLC is software development life cycle. Is actually you're talking about how you get the requirement and how you design and how you plan your development, and how you deploy to or give you to a client, and then how to run the warranty period and all those things. And now how to run this SDLC in a more frequent or more frequent SDLCs are called agile, because like in each agile cycle, that is called iteration or sprint, we do perform all these things. We get the requirements, we work development on it, we do the testing, we do the deployments, we get the feedback. So and full SDLC is performed within one agile iteration. one agile cycle. So that is actually rapid deployment or rapid uh, delivery of software to your client. Now agile is one way to enable DevOps. I mean, DevOps is actually a culture where you are running production systems and you are doing feature releases to them while running production. You are not afraid to bring in changes to your production systems. So you have a culture so that you are capable of using agile and lot of other methodologies. Agile SDLC is explanation of how you do software. Agile is improved methodology to develop software, which is actually doing SDLC lot of times. And when it comes to DevOps, it's a culture where you have adapted well into agile and you have lot of capability as a software delivery team, so that you have a lot of uh, automation implemented so that you can deliver software rapidly into your production while it is running. For example, Visual Studio Team Services gets updates every 3 weeks while we are using it. The updates are getting in, and Microsoft is pushing updates while we are using it. While all the customers around the world using the product, Microsoft is pushing the changes. So that sort of thing is called DevOps. That capability is a cultural ability of an organization to deliver software in such manner or adapt to the changes in such manner. To do that, agile kind of methodology should be followed. And SDLC is the full development lifecycle explanation, which is actually performed multiple times in agile kind of methodologies. I think that is clear enough. Okay, I'll wait a few minutes to see if there's anything else. Alright, it seems we can conclude. So I think I have given you some insight into what is DevOps. So let me wrap up by saying a few things about this. Now, you have to be multi-skilled and very collaborative team. So that is the most important thing. So to enable DevOps kind of culture in any of your teams, you have to be team thinking rather than individualizing your goals. You have to be team goals. Always help the team members. You have to be, helping each other and always cover each other's back as a team to achieve the product or project goals. So that is the culture where a DevOps enabled organization follows. Rather than achieving individual goals will not, that kind of attitude will not help. So there's a lot of attitude and cultural change is required for DevOps. I think I have given enough insight into that, and there are a lot of tools available for this. But as I said earlier, I have to reiterate, tools will not help to achieve this. Your mindset change, your system thinking change, and your team thinking is required to achieve DevOps. So I hope everybody got some new knowledge, and thank you for having listening to me. So really, thank you very much. Okay, another final question. Let me see. Will users experience a downtime while a deployment? All right, that's a really good question. It depends. There are systems that goes 100% down when a deployment happens. There are some systems that can go only into a read-only kind of mode and do the deployment. So that I'm handling such a software where it's a Azure tenant-based software where we have multiple clients running that product, run as a software as a service, where we actually take it into read-only mode and do the deployment. And there are capabilities like, for example, team services never ever shuts down, right? You always use it, but new features are coming in dynamically. So that kind of capability is there as well. So you can enable deployments without downtime as well. But it's a very complex implementation. It's possible. You have to be very careful in implementing such things, but it's a possibility. Alright, I think I have covered that question as well. So I mean, if you want to learn more about these things, you have to go in and deep dive into these things and learn it. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thanks.